Yes.
Johan, I've seen you describing Berserker as your heavy metal album, whereas The Great Heathen Army is your death metal album. Did you want to return to the roots? Did you want to show that? Did you want to? Do you think that you had too much of your classic metal influences, and you wanted to get rid of that and return to death metal?
Yes, I mean, yeah, we did that album. We wanted to make it more heavy metal because we love heavy metal so much. But now then we have done that, and then we felt like we don't need to go and make another even more heavy metal sounding album. Instead, we want to take a step back towards our roots and have a more brutal death metal influenced sound, I guess.
Do you have you heard the? There are some people saying that Amon Amarth sounds like Accept with brutal vocals. Do you accept that characterization? How do you find this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for some parts, because both me and Olavi and the rest of the band too, we love Accept and those kind of 80s heavy metal bands. That's what we grew up with, and it's a big influence on us. Mm-hmm. So I think that's totally correct. But we also have a death metal roots, because that's how we started out. It's a death metal band. Mm-hmm. Now we try to go back to that feeling a little more on this album.
Mm-hmm. In your previous album, you worked with Jay Ruston. However, this time you return to Andy Sneap. Did you feel that you have worked with Andy Sneap for several albums in the past? Did you feel more comfortable with Andy, or did you want to just change your sound again?
Yeah, it was because we wanted to change the sound, and also we feel very comfortable working with Andy Sneap because he's also a guitar player. So it's very easy for us to. It's nice for us to have somebody that understands guitar playing more than Jay Ruston. He's more focused on like the sound production and stuff like that. And Andy Sneap, he's like a fellow. He's like a friend. It's like recording with your friend kind of thing, and you sit there and he can come with inputs on your playing style. You know, maybe if I make a riff, I play it a certain way, and then he says, maybe you should try hold your hands a little like this instead. Maybe you get a different sound, you know.
He doesn't give you any directions for the songs. He just gives you directions on how to play the instrument.
Yes. Yeah, the songs are pretty much finished before we enter the studio, and then we only do small adjustments, like we take a couple of bars out from the song here and make it more accessible to the listener.
Mm-hmm. Having discussed with many musicians, they are all on the same page that having so much time to work on an album with the pandemic, they deliver one of their best albums ever. Do you think that constant touring prevents you from creating great albums? Not you, I mean, not Amon Amarth specifically. I mean, for all bands.
Yes. Yeah, for sure, because that's something we never do. We never write music when we're touring. And I guess all bands doesn't have that privilege to be able to, when they're not touring, they can take like a whole year off and only write music. But for us, we have this privilege that we can focus only on writing music and not do any live shows at the same time. And now during the pandemic, since there was no live shows for 2 years, we had even more time to focus on the songwriting, and it was less pressure too. So we didn't feel like, oh, we have a deadline here, we have to have an album by this time. We just, all right, no. First, we took the first year of the pandemic, we didn't really do anything. And then we said, yeah, let's start to make an album, because we don't think there's going to be live shows in the
because you
foreseeable future, and then we had just started to make songs without having the pressure that usually have we have to finish by this time, because that's when the tour started.
Yeah, because you hadn't quite finished the Berserker tour, and you were on the verge, let's continue the Berserker tour or do a new album or make a new album. But since the pandemic took so long, I guess you decided on creating a new album.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
In February, you released the standalone single, Put Your Back into the Ore, for which you worked with Jens Bogren. You had worked with Jens Bogren before. It's not the first time. So
yes.
Which was the idea behind it? First of all, was it a song for the fans?
Yes, for sure. Since we have this phenomenon with the rowing pits on our shows, that started back in we played UK many years ago on the Bloodstock Festival, and all of a sudden some group of people sat down and started to row, and we thought it was very cool and fun. And then I guess somebody filmed that and it spread, and then people started to do it on all our shows. And then we felt like we should make a song specifically for that. So when we play this song, everybody's gonna sit down and row.
And
then we thought like we want to make the next album more death metal, more dark sounding, and not so heavy metal. So that's why we want to try to go back to Jens Bogren and see how that turns out. But when that song was finished, we felt like it was more in the same vein as the Berserker. It's kind of the same heavy metal style. So then we said, like, let's try to go to Andy Sneap instead, to see if he can make it more brutal and more death metal.
And darker.
Yeah, darker, yes.
So you didn't put the song into the album because it was a song that was written in the Berserker writing sessions, or because it was just a different producer?
No, already from the start, this was made as it's going to be a single release. It was never planned it was not written during the Berserker era, and it was never planned to be on the album either. We just felt like we wanted to release something, because during the pandemic, we didn't do anything. Like some bands played the live streaming shows and stuff like that, and we did not do that. So we just felt, let's release a single so people know that we are still around.
Did you ever think about doing a streaming show, or was it too expensive, or you thought that maybe it didn't make any sense? What do you think about that?
Yes, we had plans to make a live streaming show, but then we wanted to make it so grand and big, to have super much production and flames and stage stuff, and that took so much effort. So it was never a good time to do it. And personally, I think it's kind of boring too, even though it's great for fans to watch something. And if they can't see any live shows, they can see a streaming thing. But I still think that a live show can never be replaced by a streaming thing.
Fortunately, we are in the position to watch live shows again, but back then it was an alternative, I could say. I'm not into it. I do not want it to become, something that.
Yeah, I don't want that to be the new trend that people stop going to live shows because they can sit home and watch live shows on the phone instead, or TV. It's like
one of the reasons we go to the show is to communicate, is to socialize. It's not only it's not only going to watch our favorite band.
Exactly, you miss out on that whole part.
Yeah, that's what we're missing. We miss seeing each other face.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the feels like. The world is going more and more into the computer screen. Everything is done on computers. Too much, I think. People need to stop looking at their screens all the time and go out in the real world and meet people in reality.
And the music industry goes that way with the streaming. I mean, it prevents you from the whole thing that you have the record, or you have the CD, and you put the CD on the CD player, or the vinyl on and just have a glass of wine, have a glass of beer, and
this for sure.
From your
That's also the trend, that it's just too much of everything. Everything is accessible in your phone, so you don't have to do anything. In the past, you had to go to the record store to find new albums and buy them and go home and listen. Then you were listening more focused. You actually sat down and listened to the music. Nowadays, people listen to music and scroll their phone at the same time.
Yeah, and they listen to a couple of songs and they say, "I do not like it. Let's go to
Yes.
I will tell you more. All the bands have their best couple of songs at the beginning because they are afraid that they will lose the audience if the first couple of songs are not the best that they can have.
Yes, for sure. That's the trend. That you have to be only the first 5 seconds of the song needs to be really good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people just skip to the next song.
And I see all bands, for example, Amon Amarth. The first video was the first song of the track listing. The second video was the second song of the track listing. And Heideran must be one of the next videos, I think.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna be the next video, but I don't think that was not the plan. That was just by coincidence that the two first. Of course, the first song is always the single. That's a good thing to have the single as the first song. But the second song was the reason that's second on the album is not because it's going to be the second single. It's just happened to end up in that place.
Yeah. And a thing that is not mentioned anywhere is this epic duet of Johan and Biff Byford of Saxon in the song Saxons and Vikings, which comes naturally when you say Saxon, you see Biff. When you say Vikings, you see Amon Amarth. I mean, it's a definition of that song. How did that happen? Did it have to do with Johan singing in Saxon's album Predator on the same song?
No, not really, because that actually was Olavi's idea. He wanted to make, many years ago, he wanted to make a song about Saxons and Vikings and have Biff as a guest vocalist on that track. But we never had the opportunity to be in the same place at the same time. But now that opportunity, since we choose to go to Andy Sneap's studio, and Andy Sneap lives very close to where Biff Byford lives, so he could easily come to the studio and do his recording parts, So then when we decided we're gonna go to Andy Sneap, then we instantly contacted Biff as well. if he wanted to be part of this song, and he was instantly on to the idea. So that's very cool.
This means
So
that
he came to the studio and hanged out for a couple of 3 days. Probably we went to restaurants, had dinners and stuff, and he was super cool just hanging out and recording there.
you recorded together. That must have been a great atmosphere, and of course a great video. I think that you should have filmed it for a video to have you and Biff in the studio. That's the perfect thing to show to the people.
Yeah. I don't remember if we filmed that, but we for sure took some photos on that.
So next time that you will go to Andy Sneap, perhaps you will have Rob Halford on your next album.
Yes, that would be a great next step.
Perhaps with the concept of a Viking god, like metal god, and say Viking.
Yeah. And that's a good idea. Or maybe some Iron Maiden guests.
Let's see where these bands live, and you should go to a nearby studio to record.
Yes.
But Viking God should be a good idea, because Rob Halford is just like Biff. It's so open-minded, and he could sing anything. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Yes.
In Get in the Ring video clip, we see Erick Redbeard, which is a professional fighter.
Yes.
Did it have to do with Johan, who is doing martial arts?
No, the idea came from Erick Redbeard himself. Actually, it was some years ago. He contacted us because he had been in some of our videos earlier, so we became friends with him. And then he contacted us and asked if we could make some music that he could have when he enters the ring. You know, they always play music when the wrestlers go to the ring. So that's how that idea came up. So we said, yeah, we for sure want to make some entrance music for you when the ideas are, pop up. And now it felt like this song is very suitable for that. So then we made the song and lyrics about being in the ring. And
so it's literally being in the ring, and not like Guns N' Roses, who had the song Get in the Ring for Use Your Illusion albums, where Axl Rose attacked verbally some journalists that didn't like his albums or his behavior and stuff like that. So we're not your target. It's
no, this is only about fighters in the ring.
Okay. Nowadays, Netflix series play a very significant role in promoting bands. We all saw what happened with Metallica and Kate Bush, and even Iron Maiden and Stranger Things. Johan played a role in the movie Northman, a Viking Saga. Do you think that it helped somehow the band, or in case it didn't, maybe we should have Stranger Things in the 90s so that you could follow the trend?
I don't think that the video the film that Johan was in probably did not gain so many new fans, because that was like a Viking movie. So everybody who watches that movie, they always already know about Vikings and our band. But when the bands get played on Stranger Things, for example, that's a whole completely different group of people who watches that, and they maybe not ever heard about Vikings or extreme heavy metal.
Yeah,
that's very good. I think that shows like that does that to promote. I mean, even Metallica, who you thought everybody in the world knew who Metallica were, they gain a lot of fans from this, because kids just have never heard about Metallica.
They have only heard Enter Sandman and Nothing Else Matters. They just know these songs from the radio.
Yeah.
And they never knew Master of Puppets. something that we cannot realize, but it's true. It's happening. We saw that for real.
Yeah.
Amon Amarth is a band which is very popular between youngsters. It does have people of my age and your age. I think we are about the same age. But there are people from 15 to 25 years old that are watching Amon Amarth shows. There has been a constant rumor about all these, from all these heavy metal purists, as I say, that bands like Amon Amarth, like Arch Enemy, like Sabaton, like Powerwolf, that they have a younger audience, that they attract a younger audience, like this is a bad thing to attract a younger audience, because you play music which brings the young generation closer. And some people think it's bad. Like I was discussing it with Powerwolf, and the guys told me that the same thing was happening in the 80s, where when Iron Maiden, for example, came, all these people that were listening to Deep Purple and Rainbow were saying, this is not true, this is the truth. True thing is that what we are all listening to, this 70s hard rock music. Do you think this happens again and again in every decade?
Yeah, I think so, because it's obviously the guys who started to listen to us, they now have kids, and they play the music so the kids hear it. So I think it comes from the parents transferring the music to the kids. But I think it's a great thing, because that's what you need as a band. You need to have many generations of fans to be able to go on tours and live and make a living out of music. You need to have more than just one age group as fans.
Yeah, and I think, do you think that modern days problem of heavy metal music is the high percentage of age? I mean, it has many older people in the audience. Most of the people that attend heavy metal shows in general is over 35 years old.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I think on our shows we have a very even spread. It's old people and young people, and also girls and boys. You know, both men and women like our band, so that's really good.
How difficult is it to attract girls with the music, to attract an audience that doesn't listen to extreme metal music with bands like, I don't know, like Obituary that we are touring with? They do not listen to extreme metal only, but having extreme vocals is very difficult for a person to adjust, that he doesn't listen to that kind of vocals, and they listen to Amon Amarth.
Yeah, that's probably because we are a little more melodic and more accessible, I guess.
And groovy.
Because we come from growing up with Iron Maiden, for example. So that's where we got our inspiration from. And then the step is not too long, you know, to go from Iron Maiden to our music. That's a shorter step than to go from Iron Maiden to Obituary, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely shorter. Speaking about the rowing pit that we discussed before, how do you feel about people that say that real heavy metal, real death metal shows should have mosh pits and walls of death instead of rowing pits like this?
Yeah, but we have to have some fun stuff too, you know. It can't only be about moshing and being macho all the time. You have to be some fun elements in there too. And it's not like we don't like moshing and stuff like that. It's just, it's fun to have different reactions in the crowd sometimes.
And allow me to say that Rolling Pit is a trademark of Amon Amarth.
Yes, for sure. And that's why we also made a song, Get You Back into the War, so people can have that as the point in the concert when they
I think
can start rowing.
It will be a fan favorite and a staple on your set list.
Yes, I hope so. We never played this song yet, so that's going to be fun to see.
You see.
When we actually start to play that song, if people start to do the rowing, everybody then.
Mm-hmm. What did you try to do differently this time with your new album? Apart from having some spoken words, especially in the last song of the album, I think you added a female choir.
Yes, that's a new element we might put in there, because that also was kind of a coincidence. When I write music, I usually sit play guitar, and then I always have my keyboard or piano next to me as well. So I try out harmonies on the piano and play go back and forth between the instruments. And then I was just going through different sounds and trying. And I came to this female choir sound, and I tried to play that on top of the guitar melodies in the chorus of the song. And I thought it sounded really cool, so we just kept that in there. And I think that's also why Johan came up with the idea that the lyrics should be about Valkyrias, because it was these female choirs in the background there.
That's great. You have also released a re-recorded version of Masters of War for the 20th anniversary of The Crusher. Would you re-record a whole album?
No, I don't think we're gonna do that. We just think it's fun sometimes to take an old song that maybe didn't have the best production back in the day, and kind of modernize the production on it. So because some of those older albums have really good songs, but maybe it doesn't come through exactly how we were thinking they should sound on the album back then. So now it's fun to take one song here and there just to
just for the fun of it and see how it sounds now.
Yeah.
You're touring in Europe with Machine Head and Halo Effect, and in the US you announced today that you are touring with Carcass, Obituary, and Cattle Decapitated. When shall we see you in northern parts of Europe, and especially in Greece? Do you have any tour plans for our place in Europe?
Yeah, not at the moment, but I hopefully next spring or sometime. I would guess that should be
after the US tour.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely go again to that place and have that delicious steaks.
Yes. That was still a place I tell friends about. The best Greek food I ever had was like amazing. It's so good food. It's definitely want to go back there again.